In 1974, one African emperor buried $8.7 billion worth of diamonds, and nobody has found them since. That sentence alone should stop you cold. Because we live in a world where the poverty of Ethiopia is broadcast on every screen, where images of famine and struggle have been used to define an entire nation in the global imagination. But what if that narrative was built on top of something deliberately hidden? What if beneath the story of African scarcity lies a story of African wealth so staggering it threatens the entire premise of how the world talks about this continent? Haile Selassie, the Lion of Judah, the 225th monarch of the Solomonic dynasty, did not go quietly. He moved his fortune before they came for him. And the question that has haunted historians, treasure hunters, intelligence officers, and Ethiopian citizens for 50 years is simple and devastating: where did it go? To understand what was hidden, you must first understand what was built. Haile Selassie was born to Fari Makoen on July 23, 1892, in Ejasegoro, in the Hora region of Ethiopia. His father was Ras Makoen, a powerful nobleman and cousin to Emperor Menelik II, the man who had defeated Italian colonial forces at the Battle of Odwa in 1896, one of the most consequential military victories in African history, where 100,000 Ethiopian soldiers dismantled a European imperial army and told the world that Africa would not simply surrender. Tefari grew up in the shadow of that triumph, in the court of an empire that had never been fully colonized, and that singular fact shaped everything he would become. By 1916, he had maneuvered himself into the position of regent, effectively ruling Ethiopia under the nominal reign of Empress Zewditu. By November 2, 1930, following Zewditu's death, he was crowned Emperor Haile Selassie I at a coronation ceremony in Addis Ababa so magnificent that delegations from across Europe, Asia, and the Americas attended. The Duke of Gloucester represented the British crown. Reporters from every major international publication scrambled to describe what they witnessed. It was not the coronation of a man the world expected to matter. It was the coronation of a man who already did. For 44 years, Haile Selassie ruled one of the oldest continuous civilizations on earth. He modernized Ethiopia's infrastructure, founded Addis Ababa University in 1950, helped establish the Organization of African Unity in 1963, positioning Addis Ababa as the diplomatic capital of the entire African continent. He addressed the United Nations General Assembly in 1963, delivering a speech so powerful that the Jamaican Rastafari movement, which had elevated him to messianic status, would hear those words echoed decades later in the music of Bob Marley. He was on the cover of Time magazine. He walked with kings and was not humbled. And through all of this, he was accumulating. The Ethiopian imperial treasury was not a symbolic institution. It was a functioning engine of generational wealth, built over centuries of trade along the Red Sea corridor, of tribute from regional lords, of land revenues from an empire controlling territory stretching across the Horn of Africa. By the mid-20th century, Haile Selassie's personal fortune was estimated at $16 billion in today's valuation, making him one of the wealthiest individuals on earth. The diamonds were not a rumor. They were a cornerstone. The key figures in this story are not only Selassie himself. They are the men who moved against him and the men he trusted to move his legacy. In the early 1970s, Ethiopia was fracturing. A catastrophic famine in 1972 and 1973, centered in the Wollo and Tigray regions, killed an estimated 200,000 people. The emperor's government initially suppressed news of the famine, a decision that would prove politically fatal. Into that vacuum stepped the Derg, a coordinating committee of the armed forces, police, and territorial army, a Marxist military junta that began systematically dismantling imperial power from the inside. Key among its architects was Major Mengistu Haile Mariam, a cold, calculating officer who understood that the emperor's symbolic power was his greatest shield. To destroy the emperor, you had to destroy the symbol first. The Derg began making arrests in early 1974. Ministers, generals, aristocrats. Each arrest was televised. Each confession was orchestrated. The machine was closing in, and Selassie knew it. His intelligence network, built over 4 decades of rule, was still functioning even as his government collapsed around him. He had loyalists. He had routes. And he had time, not much, but enough. The men Selassie trusted with his fortune in those final months have never been fully identified. Ethiopian oral history and the testimonies of exiled former court officials speak of a network of trusted noblemen and foreign intermediaries, Swiss banking contacts, a Lebanese diamond merchant operating out of Djibouti, and at least 2 Ethiopian Orthodox Church bishops who served as couriers. The diamonds themselves, a collection accumulated over decades, sourced through Central African trade networks and gifts from foreign governments, with a concentrated acquisition period between 1955 and 1970, were moved in multiple stages. Not a single transfer, but a series of them. Some accounts place initial transfers as early as 1972, when the Derg's formation was still being whispered about in military barracks. The final and most significant transfer is believed to have occurred between June and August of 1974, just weeks before September 12, when Selassie was removed from the Jubilee Palace in Addis Ababa and driven away in a Volkswagen, the Derg's deliberate insult to a man who had ridden in royal coaches, never to return. He died on August 27, 1975. The official cause was listed as respiratory failure. Almost no serious historian accepts that conclusion. Now consider the scale of what we are discussing, because the numbers are not metaphorical, they are historical. In 1974, the global diamond market was valued at approximately $2.3 billion annually.